friends! Welcome to Devotions on U-Nite Radio. My name's Anna.
And I'm David. Hey friends, have you ever made a promise? What are some things you make promises for?
Maybe you promise to help your mom or dad clean the house, or maybe you promise a friend you'll play with them over the weekend. Do you always keep your promises? Maybe you do your best, but sometimes you break them.
Broken promises don't always happen on purpose. For example, maybe you got sick and had to stay home, so you couldn't keep your promise to play with your friend.
We've all broken promises before, whether by accident or on purpose, but God never breaks his promises.
In fact, God is always at work to keep his promises.
There are many stories in the Bible that show us how God will always keep his promises, even when it seems impossible. For the next few episodes, David and I want to tell you one of our favorite stories. Thousands of years ago, God spoke to a man named Abraham. God told Abraham, "Do you see those stars? Try to count them all."
Do you think you could count all of the stars in the sky? Probably not. Abraham couldn't either. Then God promised Abraham, "I am going to make you a great nation. You will have as many descendants," those would be Abraham's kids, grandkids, great-grandkids, and so on, "as there are stars in the sky."
God made this huge promise to Abraham because he had a big plan to save the world from sin, so that all people from all families could be part of God's forever family. God was going to use this family to bring Jesus, God the Son, to earth. Isn't it so cool that they got to be a part of God's amazing plan? It might be easy to think that God chose them because they were special or better than other families, but they were far from perfect.
Yeah, they had some big problems, especially Abraham's grandson Jacob's family. Jacob favored one of his two wives over the other, and his wives were often jealous of one another.
2 wives? Didn't God make marriage to be between one man and one woman for their whole lives?
Yes, he did. Jacob probably didn't intend to have 2 wives. Jacob loved a woman named Rachel and wanted to marry her. But Rachel's father tricked Jacob into marrying her sister Leah instead. But Jacob still loved Rachel. So even though it was wrong, Jacob married Rachel too. And it caused a lot of problems. The Bible says Jacob loved Rachel more than Leah. Poor Leah was very unhappy. But God gave her something wonderful, a baby boy she named Reuben. This was Jacob's first child. Jacob had a lot of children. See if you can keep track of how many children he had.
Leah had 3 more sons, Simeon, Levi, and Judah. Each time Leah had a baby, she was sure Jacob would love her more than Rachel, but he didn't. Meanwhile, Rachel became jealous of Leah because she didn't have any children. How sad that their home was filled with unhappiness, jealousy, and anger.
Then came Dan, Naphtali, Gad, Asher, Issachar, and Zebulun, and one daughter, Dinah. None of these children were Rachel's.
But one day, Rachel did have a baby boy she named Joseph. Joseph was Jacob's favorite son. Did you count how many children that was? 12 children, 11 sons, and 1 daughter. Would God really keep his promise to a family like this? Yes, he would. God is even more powerful than the worst family problems. If you are a child of God, remember, God is always at work to keep his promises. God is so powerful, his promises don't depend on your situation. You can trust God and the plan he has for you.
Philippians 2:13 says, "For it is God who works in you, both to will and to work for his good pleasure." God is working in your life. If your family is going through a hard time, isn't what you think it should be, or you feel like a failure, remember this verse. If you are a child of God, remember that God is always at work to keep his promises. Even the problems in Jacob's family couldn't stop God from keeping his promise. One day, God spoke to Jacob. He reminded Jacob of Abraham's promise and gave Jacob a special message. "No longer shall your name be Jacob, but Israel shall be your name."
Wait, isn't Israel the name of a country?
It is now, but first, Israel was a man, and many of the people in the country of Israel are Jacob's descendants.
Soon, Jacob's family moved to the land of Canaan, the land God promised to Jacob's family. On the way, Rachel had another baby. But sadly, Rachel died afterwards. What a terrible day in Jacob's family. Jacob named the new baby Benjamin. How many sons did Jacob have now? 12! Jacob's family was far from perfect, but God was still going to use them to keep his promise. How was he going to do this with a family so messed up?
Tune in to Good News Devos next time to find out.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.